You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
67 the high Friday at 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a hump day edition, a cold hump day edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning as we head to the Tennessee weekend. I know a lot of people are probably going up to Knoxville. Nice place to go watch a football game. You got the water right down there where the boats come up. Great places to eat down there on the water. So if you're heading up to Knoxville, give us a call. Let us know what you're going to do up there in Knoxville, Tennessee. 205-342-9904. The X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Win Sanderson 1. An email for the show, wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download that app. You got Coach's Show tonight. The Tide 100.9 app. You can listen to that if you're not in the area here. You also can send us a message through the app. We've been getting a lot of those. We appreciate those. So keep them coming, even the bad ones. I had read one yesterday where a guy said he was going to turn the channel, that we were the worst show on the radio, but then he was listening to get Chase the next day. So I don't know. Maybe we weren't, or maybe he likes bad. But anyway, you can send us a message right there through the app. Before we get started, though, we want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you certainly don't want it. Build the fence, the deck, the pergola. Then go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer that is closest to you. Good morning, Chase. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
Doing okay. Several things I want to mention. We'll have two guests on tomorrow. Russell Bivens will be on from Knoxville. I want to get somebody from Tennessee on tomorrow. And then Garth Grisman will be on the first thing at 7:30 on Friday. We only have the one guest today, so I welcome your calls if you have some comment about anything. Got a couple of emails I sent. I'll mention that in just a minute. So that's kind of the way we're going to do it today. A little bit light on guests today, but tomorrow, with Russell being on, and our regulars being JC being on, will be good. Garth and Sonny will be on Friday. My Cleveland Indians are not the kind of team I thought they were. I figured they played in a weak league, and they did. Pitching by New York has just overwhelmed them. They can't score. They just now lost Alex Cobb, their pitcher, for the rest of the season, who started the first game. They got beat 6-3, and it's 2-0 before they go to Cleveland. It doesn't look very, very good for the team that I was, putting for. That's part of it. The Mets and the Dodgers and the Mets played today at the Mets, I think, and it's tied 1-1. I do want to mention Media Day. Yesterday, I went over to Media Day for basketball for some of you basketball fans, and enjoyed. They stayed long. Alabama will run off and leave, and I'm not trying to put pressure on them. Arkansas has a lot of injuries, and guys are not ready to play. I don't know how long it'll take them. Alabama is going to run off and leave the SEC with 2 or 3 games, I think, as well as the tournament. They're really, really good. Nationally, Kansas is 1 and Alabama's 2, which is unbelievable. Well, they've done great. Connecticut is 3, but Alabama is just absolutely loaded. They have an injury or 2 as well. I'm not sure that Auburn is quite as good as we think they're going to be. I'm not because it's Auburn. It has nothing to do with that. But Auburn's picked 11 nationally, Tennessee 12, A&M 13, Arkansas 16, Texas Texas 19th, Florida 24th. Get this one, Kentucky 23rd, and Ole Miss 24th. So kind of interesting to see some of those coaches I hadn't seen in a long time. And I know this is not time for a lot of basketball, but in some ways it is. The SEC in football has gotten together with the Big Ten for a blockbuster. I had on my iPad and lost it, but for a blockbuster schedule, whether they end up playing 9 games or whether they're playing 8 games, they're going to have an opportunity to play a lot of non-conference games, and they're trying to get some really block. And I think that's fine, but remember now, we're all into the SEC, and the Big Ten is big, but there are other parts of the United States too. And one of the things that's happened is that the West Coast has gone to the Big Ten, so that makes the West Coast, I guess, have an opportunity to really see what's going on, see their team. So, but they're working on non-conference football schedules, big ones for both leagues. And as most of you know, everybody in the league has some non-conference games against real big rivals. Southern Cal, UCLA is not anywhere, so we'll see what happens there. But that should be interesting. I lost what I wanted to say about the rivalries, but anyway, you're welcome to call in and talk about that. I do want to mention this, because I had a couple of things. Barry's mom and my wife had a bad fall on top of what's happened to her, and she had broken the tibia in her hip, and they had to put a rod in. And I hope everybody will pray for her a little bit and think about her. It's a rough time for her, and I probably shouldn't mention it on the radio, but I wanted to. And she's in the hospital and going to be going to a rehab facility either today or tomorrow. So I wanted you to know that as we go through this. So I had a couple of people texting about something they had heard, so I just thought I'll just go ahead and say it. So that's it.
Yeah. Certainly she needs the prayers, and as you do as well. We all do. So hopefully she'll get the strength to fight and make it back. But got to get her up and got to get her walking. In media day, we'll talk a minute of basketball here. Nate Oates, his big thing was the defensive end. I think they were ranked 111 last year in defense, which is not good. I think people forget that. They went on that run in the NCAA tournament, but defensively, Alabama was very poor last year. So they've hired a new coach. Brian Adams is his name. He's mostly an NBA background. Brian was most recently with the Detroit Pistons with Monty Williams. There, he was a head coach in the TBL in Taiwan. Was a assistant with Doc Rivers at the Sixers. Had been a couple other different NBA places. He was a video coordinator from 2007 to 11 at the Boston Celtics. But and Nate Oates said this: coaches can help, but the most important thing in being a good defensive team is personnel. The kid from Rutgers, they talk about him. I think Nate Oates called him maybe the best shot blocker in the country, and he is long and big and strong, so he can defend the rim. You got to guard the ball much better. So I think they're putting more of an emphasis on defense. We'll see what happens with that. I think they've always scored, but that's kind of what they're talking about there. Brian Adams is going to come in, and he is, I guess you would call, the Kane Womack of Alabama basketball. So, Dad, how much does a rim protector hurt? Maybe they didn't have that last year, but you got to have somebody on the back. You can't keep getting beat. You don't want guys at the rim all night because they only let you block so many shots. But a rim protector back there can certainly help a defense.
Well, you certainly don't want the people on the perimeter to get by your frontline defense. But when they do, and they do at times, you've got somebody back there that's going to tattoo Spalding on their forehead. Not only will he'll be a great rebounder for her, but as Barry's mentioned, when Mark Sears gets moving on his stuff, Alabama's awfully hard to guard, and I don't know why people don't zone them a little bit more. But anyway, I think the Alabama has accumulated, and certainly to their credit, a lot of outstanding players in basketball. I think the football being nationally recruiting nationally, they didn't do that when I was coaching, but I got Birmingham people, not that many Birmingham people now, and they've done a terrific job of getting the best players. So it's going to be a year that they're going to be. They'll have a great chance to do what you think they should do, because they're going to be very, very good. But the rim protector is big. When they if they improve defending of the perimeter, that will help, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, most important. Well, the rim protector is important, but you got to take away a 3-point shot. Alabama up Kentucky, I can just remember them hitting 3 after 3. So you got to close out. You got to take those shots away. So you got to decide where's your help going to come from. But the rim protector is important, but you also defend that 3-point line because people use it as such a weapon now. So that will be maybe they have length, I think, on the perimeter that will help them some there. So we'll take a look at that.
One other thing too, folks, is that for whatever reason, Kentucky going through Mark Pope he'll do fine, but they're going to have a little bit of a struggling year. He may have one player or maybe no players that were with Cal. They're gone. And even the ones that they recruited, the ones he recruited are the ones that he brought with him from where it was BYU, I think. So that causes them to really struggle. Big Blue's going to be, a team that you could beat. And Arkansas, for whatever reason, when I got there yesterday, has gotten a bunch of injuries. I had said on the show that I thought Arkansas and Alabama would be the best two. I'm not so sure. Maybe Tennessee. I don't know how good the league is going to be. It's going to be. Somebody told me, Barry, I didn't see it, but somebody told me that Porter Moser's team was picked 15th.
Yeah, they were 15. I think Vanderbilt was 16.
Yeah, I didn't see it, and I didn't see him, but I did visit with Rick Barnes a little bit.
Yeah, Porter Moser's team. They'll be difficult. They'll be difficult to guard in the half court. They run really, really good stuff, so people aren't familiar with them. There'll be some adjustments there with that. All right, we'll get right to the Yellowwood hotline, and we'll get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Barry, good morning. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all?
All right.
Okay.
I will be praying for Miss Sanderson. I didn't know she was going to rehab.
Well, I hope that she's in the hospital now, but we're supposed to find out today. It's when you break the fibula and put a rod in at her age, a rod in your leg, it's not very easy to learn to walk again.
I agree. It's very, very hard. And but anyway, I wanted to acknowledge that and let you know I was thinking about y'all. And
appreciate it.
We'll put her on a prayer list at church and get more praying for her. How about that?
That'd be great.
Thank you, Tom. What you got this morning?
Well, I thought y'all missed the biggest story of the day yesterday at the media days, and sir.
Yeah, get me on that because I may have. What was? I'm interested to find out.
Well, I hate to be the one that does it, but I have to call in and not you, but I have to correct Barry constantly and get him on top of the things.
Well, you can nail me too if you want to.
I didn't go to media day. Get him today, Tom.
You should have known this. I'm putting it on you.
All right.
You should have known it and pointed it out first thing off the top this morning.
You're not talking about Bruce Pearl wearing a plaid coat.
I am, and how did you miss that?
I talked to him while he was there.
My son actually sent me
Coach Oates didn't miss it. When he walked up to him, he goes, "You got plaid on." And they were talking about your dad. I got the biggest kick out of that. I thought, well, isn't that the best thing right there? And Coach Oates shaking hands with the Auburn representatives, and I thought it was just a good video there. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Well, I think Bruce Pearl talking about he tried to dress as close to Alabama as he could. So,
Coach Pearl is absolutely a pearl.
And then people wanted to get on Nate Oates' dress. What is it with Alabama fans now picking on these coaches with how they dress
so
now? Who cares how they dress?
Really.
Yeah.
And Coach Oates, he's out sporting out his new fitness look and everything like that. He's going to have to watch it. We're going to have to be getting on to him about that, too. But anyway, I got a kick out of that. I thought I'd bring it up just in case nobody else mentioned it.
I don't know if that was the biggest story of me.
I was afraid to mention it, so I didn't.
Okay, Barry, watch it.
Oh, yeah, that was the biggest story. They ran them through there. I didn't even see it.
Boy, they did, Barry. They ran, but they had a thing back in the back. And you know who was running it? He didn't know the guy that was running it didn't know a basketball team or player, and they tried to switch to football all the time.
Oh no!
I don't know when you need to do it, but now is not the right time to do the media day. I think you should do it. I think you should do it before the conference season starts.
That'd be good.
Yeah, but. Whatever.
But, the thing about it is, I think it's finally the product of the SEC's men's basketball and women is back to a level close to where it was, in my estimation, in the heyday. And that's when Coach Smith, Coach Sanderson, and Dale Brown and Ray Mears, all that bunch there. Great coaching, remember? Just great coaching. And then great players, too, and we're almost there. And I think we're missing the boat, the conference is, on how they present the product. I really do. And your boy out there at Oklahoma, I don't know what's up with him. He's not very competitive in this conference.
Who's that? Porter Mosier?
Yeah.
What do you mean he's not very competitive in this conference?
He don't win this game.
He hasn't played in this conference yet.
3 years.
He hasn't played in this conference. He's been in the Big 12.
Oh, that's right. But he's been playing us and others in the SEC.
Did Alabama win when they went to Oklahoma?
No, we got beat. That's his only big win.
Oh, okay. All right. Anything else, Tom?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll get to break here. 2 Minute Truck. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. Whether it's local, out of town, out of state, let the professionals handle it. Give them a call today. 205-247-5050. That is 2 Minute Truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. It will be at least another week before we know if the proposed first-of-its-kind Sports Illustrated resort on Rice Mine Road will get final approval of the Tuscaloosa City Council. That plan was tabled after significant opposition at last night's meeting. Opponents voiced concerns about traffic, ecological impact on the Black Warrior River, size of the buildings, and demand for hotel space in Tuscaloosa. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, looking at active road construction on Lurleen Wallace northbound between University Boulevard and 5th Street. Now, this is going to block out that right lane due to some bridge work in the area. Otherwise, looking good around. We are not experiencing severe delays anywhere. More road work on 2059.
Or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cool and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 62. Rather chilly tonight, clear, the low 39. Maybe some scattered light frost early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow and Friday, sunny both days. The high tomorrow is 67, the high Friday at 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Yellow wood, pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, the phone lines are open the rest of this hour, 205-342-9904. So if you want to get in here, normally we don't have openings during this time. We normally have a guest, so we'd love to have your phone calls. That has been, I don't want to say criticism. Maybe some obnoxious fans have been very critical of maybe the way Alabama's played here lately, maybe some of the discipline on the field, maybe some of the execution on the field, and they put a lot at Coach DeBoer. There's people that are saying, wait a minute now, these other coaches that come in their first years, they were ready to fire Gene Stallings after going 0-3. This guy's 5-1. We're being a little too critical. I think people think that Nick Saban left the program in great condition. They did have some transfers out, but they did get some in. Is it fair to be so critical of coaching and staff here the first year? How long does it take to figure out a job? Every job's different. He's coming from the West Coast. The kids, I think, are different than the West Coast kids. I don't think he had probably many Southern kids out there at Washington and at Fresno State. One, how long does it take to figure out a job? And two, is it fair to be critical now of what they're doing, or do you need to give it some time and let these guys kind of figure out this program and this university and football here in the SEC?
Well, you just go in with everything you've got, and I think he has. The difference is he's gone in with a different personality, and I think the biggest thing behind the scenes is to try to get all the kids. I say this because I know it now. Coach Saban not only was disgusted with all things that go on, but also maybe the kids' lack of interest in playing football, more so money and more so getting a little bit of some fractions, one thinking one thing, and money, as you know, divides you. A lack of money for you and more money for the other guy divides you. And I think it's hard. It's much more difficult than it was during Gene's period of time, during anybody else's period of time. This is a difficult time to go in because I'm trying to find out what the new coach is going to give me. Now, when you go in there and whatever reason you get beat by Vanderbilt, it doubles it. I think he's done a good job. I think he's worked hard to try to get these guys positive, all on the same page. That's not going to be possible. Behind the scenes, you're going to have somebody that's going to break down a little bit. And when the positive people walk out of the room, your negative people start. We should have done this, or we should have done that. How come we didn't do this? How come we didn't do that stuff? So, I think to answer your question, it's unfair. I think he's doing the very best job he possibly can. I think it's totally different than it has been in the past. People go through tough times. Let me tell you something, folks. Coach Bryant left Kentucky to go to A&M because of Tennessee. Bob Nalen was the coach at Tennessee, and Coach Bryant had a terrible time with Bob Nalen. He may have got a little bit more money, but it was very hard on Coach Bryant to beat Bob. And he went to A&M, and then from A&M to Alabama. So my point is that even the great ones, and he's one of the great ones, moved on because, and I don't know that Nick Saban burned it up at Michigan State. I know that when he went to LSU, they had the board of directors there with him and decided at the last minute, but decided they would hire him. Not particularly. I think partly on the interview, his record was okay, and then did what he did, win the national championship. He could move on. So I bring out those 2 points there of people, of other coaches, because Coach Bryant moved on, and I think people need to give this staff and this coach more time and give them an opportunity to do what they need to do.
People were critical about it about his dress, which had nothing to do with obviously the game. People, they nitpick. Yeah, well, no, but here's my thing. I was with some people over the weekend. They kept saying, "Oh, he's going to come out in a different wardrobe." I said, "I hope he doesn't. If he does, then that's going to show that he's listening to these lunatic fans." I said, "I hope he wears the same thing he always wore at home." And they said, "There's no way." Look at him at the press conference. He already had on a Mobley shirt with a collar on it. And thank goodness when he came out of that tunnel, he had on that same, I don't think that black hoodie looks, I like that black hoodie actually. I don't think it looks that bad. So I guess, and that's a small thing, but I guess if you all of a sudden, if he would have came out dressed like Nick Saban in his polo shirt with his khaki pants with it tucked in, it would have said to me, he's listening to these fans, and they'd say, if you listen to the fans long enough, you'll be sitting with them.
He wants to know. He doesn't mind listening to things by word of mouth, by somebody who's been in the program or laughed at what he did. He does. I don't think he's a big reader of what people say about him. I do think that by word of mouth, and because they're saying, here's a new coach, we need to go in there and kind of tell him what's going on with the radio show and how we do that and all those little things. So I think he picks up his information about how he can make things better for himself and his staff by just listening. Nick Saban is, and I know the defense has not been what people think, and I said that at the very beginning of all this, and I just think that people talk to him or say something to him that are pretty close to him. But I don't think he does a lot of reading. It's going to be a tough year. This is going to be a hard game, and it's going to be a tough year for him.
Yeah, there's people have told me, and I can see this when he came here, that there was a lot of these players. Because Coach Saban wanted to be the one to tell the team that he was retiring. So everybody other than Greg Byrne was caught off guard.
Yeah,
and they were fixing to line up around the building to get into the portal. And guys like Jalen Milroe and Malachi Moore and those guys, they stood up and held this thing together. And so he feels some loyalty to those guys because this thing could have gotten really bad. But he had a few players of the leaders. So I think that's why, he didn't suspend Malachi Moore. You hear him
so what did they do, son? They kept from it being public?
They kept a lot of the players out of the portal. A lot of the players stood up and said, let's stay together and let's give this guy a chance. And so for Coach DeBoer, that probably meant a ton. Here, this guy's coming in and, he knows the expectation of Alabama. All these players hit the portal and he looks at that schedule saying, oh my gosh. So a lot did. Not a lot, but some did, but there were some players that held the core together. And so I think for his first year, he's loyal to those guys as well. So he's probably a little nicer to these guys because maybe it's the NIL world as well. All right, let's get back to the Yellowwood hotline and get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I went back there. I may be repeating myself, but I went back and looked as best I could online, and I don't think there are only about 22 or 24 players, and if somebody knows better, please correct me. I don't think there are much more than about 24 players on the roster now that made the trip to Tennessee 2 years ago. So when you consider things like that and the newness of the program, the newness of the coaching staff, and all these changes and players leaving and players coming in and having to basically just rebuild rosters year after year, every coach is in a tough situation. And DeBoer is certainly not unique to that. And I think it's a hard job. That makes it harder when you have to constantly rebuild. And I think he's done a great job. I think he'll do a great job. I told my brother Saturday at the game, I wish he'd come out in softball shorts and coach the game. I think that'd be, be appropriate. Everybody getting all upset over his wardrobe and over that. That's just.
Well, you knew Well, I don't know about the wardrobe, but you knew once we've said this, once they lost, people are going to say, man, they're practicing in the morning. They're playing music out there all the time. These guys aren't serious.
There's a total difference. There's a total difference between the thoughts of people before the games and after a game, like the Vanderbilt game when you lose. Total difference. And I think the one thing you have to do is forget it. Go on, not forget the game, but to get yourself ready to play. Your blonde-headed wife doesn't need to get out and read the paper. You need to work it because they're not going to do anything as far as changing your team at all, except maybe a couple of them in recruiting.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's a tough schedule, tough conference. The college football landscape's changed. You've got a lot of good teams this year that are capable football teams that can knock you off at any time, and Alabama's a dangerous team. I don't care what anybody says. Alabama can move the football. They're just as dangerous as most of these teams. It's just you have to avoid penalties, and you have to be able to trust your coaching staff to put you in the right position, and you have to just go for it.
And when Avery Johnson got here, I don't think he understood like the rivalries and stuff, and so I'm hoping that somebody has sat down Kalen DeBoer and educated him on, not that anything you would do differently, but on what this Alabama-Tennessee game means, the history of it, what they're going to run into when they go up to Knoxville. It's going to be probably something like he's never seen before when they go up to the hatred between these two schools, the history of Philip Fulmer. And right or wrong, turning Alabama in. There's a long history here. The cigars to Jim Goostree and the cigars. Just a lot of history that a guy from that's from where he's from, South Dakota, North Dakota, has coached at Washington. Probably has to go through it a year or two before he fully understands. Not that he's going to coach any differently because it's a big rival, but it's just it's hard to explain it, and Philip's just different.
It is, and I'm an older Alabama fan, and when I was brought up, Barry and Coach, and I'm more like Coach Sampson, I guess. Tennessee game was always the big game for me coming up as a fan. Auburn was important, and Auburn was close to where I grew up and was raised. But the Tennessee game was it. It was a televised game. Normally, when I was a kid. It was always a big game. So Tennessee means a lot to me. It may not mean as much to some Alabama fans, but it's a huge game to me in my era.
Yeah, I've got a gentleman that's a great listener texted me. He's talking about we only really have one senior starting, I guess, playing a lot of this Malachi Moore. And my only take to that is most guys at Alabama, when you come to Alabama, after you usually going pro after your junior year. If you're not a pro, and you've probably been sitting out and you've transferred, most of the guys don't get to their senior year at Alabama. Is that, would you say that's correct, Philip? Either they transferring out or they're going pro after their junior year.
Yeah, that's right. And then this game is a perfect example of that because I don't even know if Jalen Milroe played the Tennessee game 2 years ago.
I don't think he did. Bryce Young was up there, right?
That's right. And, Bryce took a beating in that game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Milroe, even though plays every snap this year almost, I don't even think he got on the field 2 years ago. And he's not the only one that's making the trip this year that was there 2 years ago that didn't get on the field much. I would say most of those guys didn't get on the field.
I would say Milroe's played in big games. He's played in the semifinal game. He's played in the SEC championship game. He's been in big games, so I don't worry about him. I don't worry about him being ready. Now, I do worry if he's injured, and I'm a little bit worried about his passing. I just think he got a little gun shy the other day after those two interceptions. And then he hit that one last touchdown, but that was completely busted coverage by South Carolina. The guy was running wide open. So you can't make mistakes at Tennessee, or that thing can get in a frenzy up there, Philip.
That's right. Hey, Barry, I got an upset brewing in my mind. I just can't get it out of my mind. Auburn going to Missouri and beating them.
I kind of think they are too. Why? Why are we thinking that?
They run the ball well. Auburn's a good running team.
Yeah.
I think if they play it safe, that's what they ought to do, is just play it safe and try to run the ball, beat Missouri, beat Kentucky, beat Vanderbilt, beat ULM, and then they've got Texas A&M and Alabama to close out the season. I think they might could get a nice little string going there if they do that. If they start throwing the ball all over the field, they won't do well.
Yeah, they've been kind of quiet here lately. I haven't heard a lot about Auburn, so
that's why I got a sneaky feeling they got up to something.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll take this break here. Phone lines back up 205-342-9904. Just a Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Same song, different verse. We're looking at road work in the area, but not a whole lot more than that, which is always a good thing when you can travel freely around the area in open territory. We're looking at the bridge work on Lurleen Wallace, northbound between University and 5th Street. This is blocking the right lane without delay.
800-426-1886. 800-426-1886. That's 800-426-1886.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. You want to build the 5-star backyard. There's only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. You want to find the dealer, go to yellowwood.com. That will put the zip code in, and you can find the dealer that is closest to you. All right, Dad, this Alabama, would you say the Tennessee rivalry over your time, was that bigger than the Auburn rivalry, or does Auburn trump Tennessee?
No, I think it's as big. I think it's probably a tie there. I think they're both despised and hated, and of course, controversy with Philip Fulmer raised a lot of stuff because there was a lot of things said that in that particular case, the Auburn thing was in-state hatred and rivalries there, and I think the big thing there, Barry, is that when Alabama and Auburn were playing each other, the recruiting process in the state was a little bit bigger. We still got guys in the state that Alabama and Auburn fight over, but it was a fight from the top of the state of Alabama all the way down to Mobile, to where people really got into it. And there was some behind the scenes stuff that tried to bring people to their particular program. So it was as controversial as it could be because of the recruiting in the state was even more. Alabama didn't go out much, out of state very much, and Auburn tried to get everybody they could and did a good job with it.
I don't want to go back to the Philip Fulmer, days of him turning Alabama in over the deal in Memphis, but I think you and I differ in that. I think, Alabama, it was proven that they broke the rules.
Oh, no, we don't differ in that at all.
No, I'm saying I think we differ from the fans that we don't feel like if you're cheating, then, I guess him turning them in. I don't have as big a problem, I guess, with everybody else.
Well, I know a lot about it. I don't really want to get on the radio and talk about it, but I do happen to know a lot about it because I was there and saw it and so forth. So I know kind of what happened. People that were involved had passed away, and so it was pretty tough. But I don't need to say anymore.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's a lot of people that they hate Philip Fulmer because of it. And, I know you probably don't like, I won't say hate, but he did stab Johnny Majors in the back, correct?
No doubt about that. Johnny Majors got sick. Johnny Majors is one of my best buddies. I talk to him all the time, and he cut up Johnny, and Johnny never recovered from it. And Johnny had done a terrific job. What a heck of a guy Johnny Majors was. I'm glad you brought his name up. He was some fun guy and some good football coach, and he was tough too. He brought in a coach from Alabama to come over defensively. He wasn't satisfied, and he moved on from him. So he was funny and likable, but he was also tough. I just think that you have to have some toughness about you when you start a program. I was criticized to some degree on a smaller scale, my toughness versus when I just wanted to do it my way, and it wasn't my personality didn't fit some of the writers. But I think you have to make them uncomfortable and
But how difficult is it when you come in like Kalen DeBoer to a program that has been so successful, and you say, "Well, I want to do it. I'm going to do it my way," and the way that they were doing it has been working. And so, do you take on some of the things that they've done? Maybe Nick Saban figured out some things here at Alabama that made this a better job.
I think the process of recruiting, Barry, is the thing that is absolutely. He was so organized and knew what he wanted to do, and figured out Alabama recruiting. And I'm sure he did it at LSU too. Figured out Alabama recruiting pretty fast, and knew what it took to get things going, and he did that. And when Kirby Smart and them leave him, they may not have done everything he did defensively. They coached them their own way, but brother, they got in that recruiting and they got with it. Georgia had been halfway decent, but not great. Vince had some good years, Duda did, but I think that the recruiting part of it, the ability to recruit, you got to have players, folks, and then you've got to get those players to play hard for you all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. Now we've gone into a different era now. We've gone into a money deal, and we've got everybody in the voice of those players. An agent has got a high school player coming into Alabama to play football. An agent. Everybody's got an agent. They get 4%, and when I find out that my grandson didn't get as much as the other grandson, I think my grandson's better. Then we got problems, and sometimes, and a lot of those problems relate to not playing very hard, being disgusted, not practicing the way you should, and you kind of got to mash them.
Yeah. All right, we'll take the break here. We got one call, and we'll get to that before we get to the top of the hour. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., a jam-packed Gary Harris Show. Matt Coulter on NASCAR. More controversy. We'll have it covered for you. Also, we are going to visit with Dan Harrelson from up in Knoxville to preview the Alabama-Tennessee game. And Larry the Music Man will stop by as well. All that and more. The Gary Harris Show, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Same song, different verse. We're looking at road work in the area, but not a whole lot more than that, which is always a good thing when you can travel freely around the area in open territory. We're looking at the bridge work on Lurleen Wallace, northbound between University and 5th Street. This is blocking the right lane with...
Depot has it all in our huge assortment of premium trees. Plus, get free delivery on over 2 million items this holiday from the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see homedepot.com/delivery for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cool and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 62. Rather chilly tonight, clear, the low 39. Maybe some scattered light frost early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow and Friday, sunny both days. The high tomorrow is 67, the high Friday at 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
For more from Tide 100.9, let's it fly! All the follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I also want to give a shout out to my mother-in-law. Today would have been Dad, Dr. McElwain's 81st birthday. So I know she listens to us every morning, and so I know it's always a tough day for her and the girls and Josh. So what a great man Ron McElwain was. I don't think there's so many people in this town that I see that they tell me that he took their wisdom teeth out. But what a great person that he was. So anyway, prayers out to those guys. All right, back to the Yellowwood hotline and get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Good morning, Coach. Morning. Hold on a minute with Philip Fulmer. I mean, are you kidding me?
No.
That the only people guilty of infractions was Alabama?
Well, it was on that particular kid.
Well, let me tell you something. Tennessee is just as guilty as anybody. And I'll tell you something else. Here's the whole point, Barry. Not only did Philip Fulmer come in as a secret witness against us at the NCAA, he had Kramer and them working against Alabama. They wasn't working in the best interest of the conference. All of them were working against Alabama. Don't forget that. And let me tell you what happened. Right after that, Kramer left. Mr. Slive come in. First thing he did, he said, I'm going to tell you something. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to shut your mouth trying to turn other institutions in this conference. Keep your mouth shut. And then Alabama hired Coach Saban. We went on a 16-0 run against Tennessee because God is a Bama fan.
Tom, I think we go through
and
this.
They were punished with the plague of the Old Testament of losing.
I think we go through this every year.
Every time you bring it up, you don't put it in the proper perspective.
Well, when I was coaching at South Carolina, Auburn and Cliff Ellis, I love Cliff Ellis. They were coming into South Carolina and they were cheating on a player in South Carolina that we really needed to get, and they were going to probably get him because they were cheating.
Don't tell me you turned them in.
I didn't turn them in, but I just worked behind the scenes to make sure that they didn't get him, and they didn't. Because you don't.
I wouldn't have told that.
You don't want people coming into your state. You want to come in there and recruit legally, fine, but you're not going to come into my state and cheat on the guy that's 45 minutes away, and then we get murdered because we don't get him, and he goes to Auburn when you're cheating. So anyway.
Okay, Tennessee didn't go down to Mobile and get a quarterback and cheat on him.
Then Alabama should have turned them in.
No, we didn't turn in. Alabama don't do that.
Well,
we're not snitching. And you know what? I'll tell you something else too. That Kramer, that was the problem. I'm glad he's gone. And but anyway, you need to put those things in the proper avenues that they need.
Where did that kid live?
Who?
The kid that Philip Fulmer.
Memphis.
What state is that?
Tennessee, but I mean, he's not the only player we ever got from Memphis.
I understand. I'm just telling you the thinking of a coach.
Well, I'm telling you, Barry, I'm glad that you told the part that you did not snitch on anybody. I'm glad of that.
I didn't snitch. I just made sure that he didn't get him. So.
Well, I admire you for going to different avenues and turning somebody in. That would be low down there with Philip Fulmer, and I got a higher opinion of you than that.
Thank you, Tom.
See you.
All right, we'll take this. Dad, you got any comment on any of that?
No, I'm fine.
All right, we'll take this top of the hour break. We want to thank Yellowwood. They made it all possible. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. This is Tide 100.9 at 12:30 a.m. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles,
Here's Eddie Garcia.
In postseason baseball, Game 2 of the American League Championship Series saw the Yankees beat the Guardians 6-3. New York slugger Aaron Judge belted his first home run this postseason, a 2-run shot. He drove in 3 runs overall. Alex Verdugo and Anthony Rizzo each had RBI doubles, and the Yankees scored a run on an error as well. New York starter Garrett Cole went 4 1/3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, and the New York bullpen went 4 2/3 innings, allowing a run on 2 hits. New York grabs a 2-0 series lead. Game 3 will be Thursday in Cleveland. Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is tonight in New York. Mets host the Dodgers. That series is tied at 1-1. Luis Severino will start on the mound for New York. Walker Buehler for L.A. NFL news, the New York Jets acquire wide receiver Davante Adams from the Las Vegas Raiders for a conditional 3rd-round pick. Adams is reunited with current Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The duo starred together for 7 seasons in Green Bay. The Buffalo Bills acquire wide receiver Amari Cooper and a 6th-round pick from the Cleveland Browns for a 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
24 bill credits and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off the device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Andrew Kniffer. Andrew is my insurance agent. Let him come yours. He's with Allstate out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. You'll be in good hands with Allstate and Andrew Kniffer. 205-722-9201. Or you can go to the Facebook page, Andrew Kniffer Allstate Insurance. All right, we're good. It's Wednesday. So we'll get right to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. We'll go out to Skyland Boulevard. We'll talk a little Tuscaloosa Toyota with Justin Troll. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
Hey, Justin. Man, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. Dad hit another blue plate. He's 3-4. He's staring down that 500 mark. So I hadn't really picked on him to figure out where he's going this week. So that's going a little bit better. Anyway, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I figure it took you that long to figure out how to put a blue plate out. I mean, this football season has been one like I don't know if I've ever seen it. And then you don't have to look outside of Tuscaloosa to realize that. So, however he's picking his games, he may just be praying over it and going with something. Because I don't see how he does it, but maybe he's figured it out and he's catching on.
It was a blowout last week. It was boring. He had BYU -4, and they trounced Arizona. So maybe he can find another game like that. All right, we know what's not unpredictable, and that is the service and the great cars and trucks and SUVs out at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Justin, tell us how everything's going out there. And you got the great special going on this month. Buy 3 tires, any tire, and get that 4th tire for $1.
Look, imagine running around 170 to 80 cars a day through your shop. I mean, just think about that. And on average around here, you may have a place running 30 or 40. So, with 40 lifts in the back, with an express lube to get oil, tire rotations, all that stuff done. Right now with a tire sale, those guys are rolling. What an unbelievable job they do. I tell you, I have a lot of people, and I sell a pretty good amount of cars. So I talk to a bunch of people, and it's reigned true for a long time. I mean, people buy cars from us for 2 reasons that we don't talk about, and that's obviously just the product in general. Toyota's got a great product, but the other reason is because of the service department. I mean, those guys they're not just somebody off the street.
Do we lose?
Train all the.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I thought we lost you there for a minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Justin.
18 to run hundreds of cars through your shop. Over 100 cars, 150, 67 cars through the shop in a day. That is astronomical numbers. And you got to have a good team back there to do that. And our service department, parts department, all those guys do just an incredible job. And I probably come on here and don't talk about them enough, because that's what keeps the train rolling. You know, somebody buys a car. I was telling somebody the other day, you know, you come in here and you buy a car from me and you spend, 30 minutes, an hour with me for the process, but you spend your life in the service department, getting every 5,000 miles, you're getting something done, so that's the life of a dealership. And when you buy, that's something you better look at. Do I have to take my car to Birmingham? Does this place operate efficiently in service? And that's one of the reasons at Tuscaloosa Toyota that the job gets done, is because of the service that you get after the sale in the service department.
Even with that, and I've got one, I love my car, how is it possible to sell in the city of Tuscaloosa 300 cars a month? It just blows my mind.
Well, when you and this may just sound as generic as it gets, when you sell cars to sell them, you're not in love with them, and I know y'all have laughed about this, but when you sell them and you do the process the right way, and you don't gouge people, and you don't do the hoopla that a lot of these places do, and I hear advertising of, we got $10,000 discounts, and and we're going to give you $4,000 over Kelley Blue Book, or we're going to check your credit as soon as you arrive. Those places, that's eye-opening to places that, I'm hesitant of, because I know they got something going on. At our dealership, it's pretty straightforward. We price everything to sell it, and it's obviously leadership from the top down. And I'll give you 2 examples this week. I'm selling a car to somebody in Florida, and I'm selling a car to somebody in Las Vegas, Nevada, buying a 4Runner. And he said, y'all got the one I want. Y'all got it priced right. We don't just sell cars to our market in Tuscaloosa. Okay. We're selling cars all over the Southeast.
That clears it up for me a little bit, because back in the day, people look on the internet all the time, and I don't care where they are. If they think it's a better deal, they come.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you another thing, Wimp, that help you understand. Right now, there's a lot of people that have trucks and trailers, and they've got into the business of hauling things, not just cars. So it's easy for somebody to buy. And I've sold people from California just like a couple months ago. And so when they call and we set the deal up, they've already got transportation lined up. And now that so many people are doing those transportation services, truck, trailer, now that price is competitive, so they can buy that, go there. Our finance team overnights the paperwork. It's a 3-day process. We send it, they send it back. They send the vehicle to get it picked up, and that's how you evolve and you sell 300, sometimes 350 cars a month.
Yeah,
I don't use it to say much on this show, but why is your trucks? I don't particularly care for the name of your truck, but that doesn't make a difference about me. But sure. I think of a better name, but they tell me that booger bear lasts forever.
Yeah, well, and it's, I'll give you a story. Sometimes stories are better than just saying something. I got a logger that buys from me, and he's got a Tacoma with 787,000 miles on it. And those types of things are something that a public knows about, but they don't see it. We get to see these guys that drive in with these trucks and 4Runners and Tacomas and Tundras, and they have over 500,000 miles on it. When you work at a Toyota dealership and you service them and stuff, you get to see these things a lot. And so it's the way, it's what I said to begin with. It's not just the service department, but it's the product. You say 300 cars a month. You say how do you run 150 through the shop? You got a good service department and you got a good product. So, and I'm not speaking on anything that you can't find third party. I don't come on here and make up, things. I come on here to tell you things that you can find if you research it yourself. And that's what makes it easy. You can do all of this like a lot of people do across the country, Southeast, right there at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Well, I think you need to pay more for your radio ad because it's long.
Michael Anderson,
and we need the money.
Well, look, Michael Anderson, David DeSantis. Obviously, I'm not in that game. I got too much to do.
We got people that listen all over the country, Justin. So somebody buy one online. But I tell you what, somebody buy Dad and I one online today just to prove that you can do it. Just throw your money around. Minus one.
Absolutely.
So if anybody goes on the website and buys us one, let me know. Justin, I'll come by and pick it up later on this week. So
let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Hey, Wimp. Yeah. We talk cars and stuff a lot because we have to, but I'm very your meter on the. I listened to Coach Oates yesterday, his press conference. He is. I'm just telling you, he tried to pull back, but this guy's very, very excited about this roster that he's got. I can tell in his voice.
I hadn't seen it, but I got even yesterday at Media Day, I went by there for just a minute. The other people talking about they're I don't want to put pressure on them. They're way ahead with everybody right now.
They got to ease up on those guys a little bit, Justin. They work them so hard. They got guys always hurt. They got 3 of them out now. So.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Back off on them a little bit, Coach. Get them to the game.
Hey, let me say this to you. This is one that was very kind of telling because they got a lot of leadership and a lot of guys that's been there and know the system. But when he said, man, I have been surprised how good the newcomer, the freshmen are. That's when I was like, uh-oh. You know, when you got 15 guys or 14, I don't know the number, Barry, and you're good in depth, I know that practices, Wimp knows, you know this, y'all guys do it. It makes everybody better, and that's scary to me.
No doubt. They're talented. I said all along. And he was saying you can't get caught up in your points and your minutes. You gotta, and he's preaching the right things there. They're trying to, because Mark Sears is going to get the minutes he wants, but the rest of them are going to have to share it a little bit. So. Buy into the team. So, Justin, we appreciate it, my man. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all have a great week. Look forward to next week.
All right, go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. All right, we'll take the break here, and we'll get to Bill Cameron. We'll find out. Kind of been quiet on the Auburn front. They're traveling out to Missouri. That line was 7. Last time I checked, it had fallen to 4, Jay. So somebody thinks the Auburn Tigers may go out there and sneak up on the Missouri Tigers. It's the Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, picking up a bit more volume as we head into your primetime traffic. If you're traveling on 69 southbound, moving on to McFarland, you definitely have yourself a red line. Also McFarland, that's jumping in on the bandwagon as well, mostly on those eastbound lanes.
Visit us now and save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. Its daily update on Bama sports and is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Visit online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama tight end Josh Cuevas. How have you seen this football team really grow since the time you got here to where we are now, nearing the midway point of the season?
Yeah, so, me comparing it to last year, I kind of like with the offense and stuff like that, kind of going into like this new team, I really wanted to like put myself into kind of get my foot in the door a little bit with introducing myself to the team and kind of getting comfortable with everybody. That was pretty much the easiest part. And once I got that going, you could really see like the team and how the dynamic works within the team and how we're going to play football together. And as soon as spring ball started and then we went to fall camp, it was just great seeing like the team dynamic grow.
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven, and everybody knows. That's how I get my grill on. Kanaka sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show live at 6 p.m. Central from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Hey Coach is available to listen to across the radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as the video stream on RolledTide.com and Alabama Athletics social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Kanaka Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I get to the Yellowwood Hotline. He's the ESPN 106.7, The Drive down in Auburn, Opelika, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. Joins us every Wednesday, Bill Cameron. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Doing fine. How about you guys?
We're good. Just give us what Auburn got accomplished during the off week, and they're headed to Missouri. To take on the Missouri Tigers. That line's fallen. I think it was 7. Somebody said it was down to 4. Just kind of tell us what's going on down there.
Yeah, it has sort of slid about 2.5, 3 points. So, maybe some folks out there in Vegas know a little bit more than some of us do. I don't know. It was a pretty short week for Auburn last week. It was fall break on campus, so they just practiced Tuesday and Wednesday and took the rest of the week off. Came back, on Sunday to continue working. They already put some of the game plan in against Missouri. It's a situation where we'll see. How long can this team stay focused, stay together without a win? That's been the biggest challenge, and this is another one. I've said it for the last 2 or 3 ball games. It's one they desperately need to win to feel like there's some reward for what they've been doing. And Hugh Freeze talked about the same thing that I think everyone's been talking about for the last few weeks, and that's got to run the ball more, got to get the ball more to Jarquez Hunter. I don't know if that means there'll be less O in the RPO, but there needs to be more R for sure.
Yeah, that.
I guess I'm asking what you just said. It just looks like that you've got a little bit better running game than you use. I'm not trying to coach your team. I couldn't coach mine, but it just. And maybe you said that in a roundabout way. I just think that you're better running the football than you think they are. Than they think they are. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, Will. I think from the front, from the offensive line, I think they're a better run blocking offensive line than they are in pass protection. And Auburn's got, with Jarquez Hunter, they've got a talent that really hasn't been used nearly as much, been tapped nearly as much as he should have been. We've talked about it. We've talked about it all season long. He's been averaging 13 carries a game. He got 13 in his last game against Georgia, and you go for 91 yards. It's pretty amazing that he's, he has the fewest carries of anybody there in the top 10 runners in the SEC. He's averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. And then Peyton Thorne has shown time and again that he is very dangerous running the ball. So it is something that I know Hugh likes to throw the ball, and he likes to leave it in the hands of the quarterback to make decisions. But I think this may be a situation where it's time, and probably past time, to just go ahead and say, here's a running play, call a running play, and there may be options to go ahead and check the run or run it a different way, but not have the option to check the pass just because they're more men at the line of scrimmage.
Bill, they've lost to Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Georgia, Missouri. Then they got Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Tough games, but they're all winnable. As far as recruiting goes, they got a great recruiting class committed. Are they worried that could change if this season doesn't turn around fast? What are the thoughts here about the class that they have coming in so far? Does everything seem firm?
Right now, it's still holding, but I think the recruits need that reassurance that yes, this is going to translate into wins. I don't think it's to the point where Florida was last year. I think by this time last year, Florida had already started losing some of their commitments. But Auburn needs to win. They need to win a ball game here. I've said, from before the Oklahoma game that Auburn was going to need to win a game in the month of October, and I think they still do. If they win a game, and I was talking with somebody yesterday, or maybe it was Monday, who said, and I don't know that I disagree, hey, look, Auburn is in position, or they're good enough to be able to win either of these next two ball games. But his thoughts were, and I don't know that I disagree, that if Auburn beats Missouri, then they've got a really good shot, and he thinks they very well could go 2-0. But if Auburn loses to Missouri and makes this a 4-game losing streak, that it's most likely they're gonna come home having been swept on the road. That's something they really can't afford to do. They come home 2-6. What kind of mindset are they in, of the fan base in, for a Vandy team that is that's really excited and looking forward to knocking somebody else off?
Yeah.
I don't want to change the subject to stuff, but Bruce Pearl, I've gotten a text from him, and he wore a plaid sport coat at media day for basketball yesterday, and I thanked him, and he just wrote me back a note and told me he did it in my honor, so I appreciate it. That's enough said about that. What kind of team? I think his team is ranked a little bit higher than it is, and I'm not knocking him. I really don't know much about it, but some of the people that have kind of gone down and watched practice that we're going to have on our show that I visited with thought they might be a tad overrated. I hope not, but that's what they said.
Well, I think it all is going to depend on the point guard play. I mean, J.P. Pegues was brought in to be that guy. He's been more of a scorer at Furman, and I think that's something that a few folks are a little concerned about, that he's been he's more comfortable looking for his shot than he is trying to distribute the ball and get others. That's what, and Denver Jones has gotten a good bit of work here in the preseason there at the point. I think Miles Kelly is going to be a really nice addition, but you've got to have somebody distributing the ball and getting it around, and fitting in with the concept that Bruce wants. So that's probably the big concern right now. It's not Pegues' ability. It's just going ahead and getting in and having everybody. One thing that when I was talking with Bruce a couple of days ago, that I wondered, I mean, it can be really, really good, and it's very unusual, is the fact that this team's got so many seniors. There are 10 seniors on this squad, and that can be really good. But when guys are seniors, by the time they're seniors, it may not be as easy for all of them to cede those minutes to the other guys. They may want their minutes, they may want their points. So that's the thing. If things are going really well, that could be great. Similar to the way it was last year when Auburn was on a roll, but that may be a concern as well too. When you've got so many guys that are in their last year of college basketball, I think quite a few of them, quite honestly, would like to continue playing and making money playing ball.
Yeah, just the overall with John Cohen, got a lot on his plate there, I guess, with the stadium, baseball stadium getting finished up. We have football that direction. I think probably Bruce Pearl's probably the one steady thing he's got going there. Just kind of tell us what's going on with John Cohen and the entire athletic department there.
Well, right now, I mean, they're waiting for football to win a ball game, because everything else, this ball's going really well, man. Volleyball and soccer, and they like the way things looked with, they went to, baseball, of course, went down to Pensacola this past week and took a couple of 7-inning games from Florida State. So, I mean, athletic program feels really, like they're moving along pretty well. I mean, they really like the situation with the swimming coming along and track and field. So, hey, it's up to football right now to make that next move. And I mean, we're not anywhere near the point of hot seats or things like that. But I think a football win would make everybody in the athletic department just rest a whole lot more comfortably.
Bill, do you think this committee, the college football committee, is going to have a difficult job? I think they're going to have to rate 10-2 teams and figure out, okay, who were the two that they lost to, and then who did they beat? It's much like the NCAA tournament. When it's 4, it's pretty clear cut. I mean, you're maybe leaving out one team, but here there's going to be a lot of teams possibly at 10-2. Alabama's got the one great win against Georgia. We'll see if that Vanderbilt loss, how bad it is as they go through. Vanderbilt looks to be pretty good now. They may could survive one more loss. A lot of people saying this Alabama-Tennessee game this weekend, the loser is out. I don't know that I would go that far, but this committee's going to have a tough job at the end, don't you think?
Yeah, they really are, and I think that. But then on the other hand, they have to really feel good that this is a year where the first comment that a lot of people made when we went from 4 to 12 teams is there aren't going to be 12 teams that could compete. There are only really a couple or three. Not this year. You look around this year, and we'll find out a good bit more when when the Texas Georgia game's over on Saturday there in Austin. But there don't appear to be just those teams that stand out so far that they're far ahead of the class. Everybody really appears to be competitive, and that's something that we've talked about on the drive a couple of days ago. Is the transfer portal. The initial feelings from a lot of folks on the transfer portal were, wow, this is just going to make the best teams even better. The rich are going to get richer, and it's not like it has really hurt them being able to get good players, but it's really difficult to keep those guys that aren't playing and aren't starters from going somewhere else and being starters. It's made everybody more competitive. But yeah, to try to find 12 teams, we were looking at the Missouri schedule. Missouri, if Missouri's 10-2 with losses, with that blowout loss to Texas A&M, and say Alabama beats them fairly handily, I don't think Missouri can get in with a 10-2 record because of who is their best win against. That's exactly right, what you're talking about there. I think there are going to be quite a few teams that are in that 10-2 range that expected. Well, if you get to 10 wins and you're from a power conference, especially the SEC or the Big Ten, you're going to be in. But I don't think that's the case.
Alabama people act like everybody in the country is against Alabama. Me personally, I think they're lucky to be ranked 7. They lost at Vanderbilt, and then they did not play very well the second half against Georgia, and they had to hold on against South Carolina. What are the Auburn people saying about Alabama? If that name wasn't Alabama, I don't think they'd be 7. What do the Auburn people say about that? Anything down there on that?
Just that, hey, it's looking like, there's another team that Auburn could be able to compete against because, I mean, there are obviously some flaws in just about every team, including the Tide this year.
Yeah. Coach DeBoer's finding out, coaching here, that they're critiquing everything now, Bill. His music, sure. Now it's his dress. He's not dressing the right way.
Bill, I don't want to go. I guess I say I don't want to, and then I do it. But
I know it.
If this thing falls on its face, football wise, you get all this crap on the internet about who's safe and who's not. I think the athletic director is fine with the football coach. I don't know about the money men. Is this dangerous? A little bit dangerous for the football staff.
I think it would make make everybody be on edge, and we'd see if there would be any changes. It's sort of hard to imagine there being many changes here because Hugh brought in some of his own guys this past year.
Sure.
I think the biggest concern is back to what Barry asked a little while ago about recruiting. Are you able to hang on to the guys? And what about some of the young players that may not have gotten as much playing time? Even though Auburn, I think, leads the SEC in minutes by freshmen this year, there's still some guys that obviously would like to be playing a little bit more. So that would be the first concern, would be roster management. Are you going to be able to get the players that you had committed and add to that class and hang on to yours? The staff, the seats would be getting pretty warm, though, if things don't turn around.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it should be fun. I'm like you. Like, whatever I think is going to happen, the opposite happens this year in these games.
It's made for a great season, though. I mean, every week their games you don't think are going to be good that turn out to be, thrillers.
Do you have an opinion on who wins the Alabama-Tennessee and the Georgia-Texas games this weekend, Bill?
I got a feeling Georgia. I think Georgia maybe has been looking at this Tennessee game for a week or two.
Texas game,
I think so. I don't know. Texas at home is going to be tough, but I've got a tough time going against Georgia, thinking Georgia's going to go down for the second time. They really need to win this one. They've still got to go to Ole Miss and host Tennessee, it's tough to pick against Georgia, so I might lean Georgia in a close one there. Man, Alabama, Tennessee, I really don't know. Tennessee's offense has struggled. It's strength against strength, but the strength isn't necessarily, it's not Tennessee's offense. Tennessee's defense is their strength down. Alabama, with the big plays that they can make offensively, I think it's going to be, who breaks down, who makes more mistakes. I wouldn't be stunned if Tennessee makes one mistake too many here against Alabama. So I think both of them are going to be excellent games, but I probably lean, and this may be crazy, but I probably lean the road teams.
Yeah, I think CBS probably kicking themselves for not holding on to the SEC.
Oh, man.
These games are pretty big, and so it's a big weekend. Bill, tell everybody where they can find you. Get and listen to the show down there.
Oh, yeah. Every day, 4 to 6 on ESPN 106.7. It's The Drive, and we'd love for you to join us. You can listen live online at ESPNAU.com. Or you can go to radioalabama.net. If you can't listen live, check out our podcast.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Yeah, have a great week.
You too. Thank you. There's Bill Cameron, ESPN.
I tell you what, I don't know that. I've always had a good feeling for Georgia. I don't know that Georgia's going to go to Texas and win. Do you? I don't. I'm not blue plating it, so I don't.
I don't know. I don't think this is the same Georgia.
I don't either.
But once you think that, whatever you think, do the opposite.
I know.
And I don't know what thing about Alabama, because they spread you out with those receivers, and then they run it on you. You got those guys way out there. If you make a mistake and don't hand those guys off properly, they get those big plays on you. And everybody's bragging about Tennessee's defense, but we'll find out more tomorrow when we talk to Russell Bivens.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me is, I don't know much about a Reed defense, but Tennessee's always been, for lack of a better word, tricky with their offense. I mean, they've been so wide open and tricky with it. Now, they're not as good this year offensively as they have been, but when you're tricky with your offense, it scares me about Alabama's defense.
Yeah. All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, Bryant Bank certainly is a bank that the people that listen to our show, I hope will go by and visit with them and open up an account. Bryant Bank's a good place to open up an account because they're going to do a good job with your funds. They're going to be darn sure that your funds are taken care of. That if you come in there and you want something besides putting money in the bank or taking money out, trying to buy a home, whatever you're trying to do, they've got the people there to help you. So it's an all-purpose bank for you, and it's locations in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and Columbiana and Gulf Shores and throughout the state. I hope you'll go by Bryant Bank and visit with them and open up an account and tell them that you heard Barry and I on Inside the Locker Room, and you want want to be part of it. So we'd appreciate it. I think you'll appreciate it once you do so.
This is the Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, all beefed up now on University Boulevard, southbound at Hurricane Road. This is due to an accident over in Cottondale, and it's creating a bit of traffic delays. And we're also looking at bridge work on Lurleen Wallace, northbound between University.
Visit us now and save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cool and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 62. Rather chilly tonight, clear, the low 39. Maybe some scattered light frost early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow and Friday, sunny both days. The high tomorrow 67, the high Friday at 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow Tide 100.9 on Facebook today to watch our live shows, read the great articles, and interact with Bama fans today.
Welcome back to Inside Locker Room. Tomorrow we'll release the Blue Plate special. That Blue Plate is brought to you by Chuck Norwood, the Chuck Norwood team of RE/MAX of Gulf Shore. If you're buying or selling, Chuck's your only choice. Down serving the coast for over 33 years. Great investment to purchase down at the beach. 251-948-1212 or go to the website chucknorwood.com. That as you've studied the games this week, you usually got 3 or 4 that you're looking at. You had a couple weeks ago, you had UAB on your mind and Clemson. They both hit. I don't remember who else you were looking at last week because I wasn't here Thursday and Friday. But what games are kind of intriguing you right now for the Blue Plate?
Well, it's I've studied them as best I can. It's a hard cotton picking time to try to figure them out. I was trying to think about the ones that I studied last night to tell you. I can't find what I want to find, but I would say Virginia and Clemson's a little bit interesting. Clemson's playing so well.
The line's 21.5 currently.
That's a lot of points. I'll tell you one that I have really studied a great deal is Louisville and Miami. For whatever reason, I've had more faith in Louisville. Offensively, they've been so good. I've studied that one. I think that's a +5 for Louisville.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Like that. And so when you look at the lines of these things, son, do you look on CBS? Where do you look?
I go on ESPN.com. Just go to the college football scores, and you can
the South Carolina-Oklahoma game. South Carolina is good defensively. I know Oklahoma is too, but South Carolina tackles you hard. 2.5 points there on the ones I'm looking at on CBS.
Yes, currently 3. I don't think South Carolina. What kind of frame of mind are they in after playing so well here, having a chance? Are they down, or did they pick themselves up and they're getting themselves ready? Shane Beamer used to coach at Oklahoma, so he's kind of going back home there. That game's 11 o'clock or 11:45 on the SEC network. But that's kind of interesting line there, -3 for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I studied the UAB. They're playing South Florida. South Florida hasn't played real well since they played Alabama. UAB's given up a lot of points. And so that's one that's kind of intriguing to me a little bit. It's at South Florida. South Florida's played just so-so since I studied them last night. Since they played Alabama, not very good. And And another one that I have liked a great deal, and one of these that I've mentioned I'm probably going to pick, is Rice and Tulane. 22.5 is a lot of points. I'd probably be 23 where you are, but 22.5 points is a lot of points. Rice is not very good. Tulane scores a lot of points. Kind of interesting to.
I thought you might, Chase, usually when he rides a team, they do well. He keeps riding on BYU, sitting there 6-0.
I couldn't find their game.
They play Friday night against Oklahoma State. They're -9. Oklahoma State's 0-3, 3-3 for the season. BYU 6-0, 3-0, -9 at home.
Yeah, that's my fault. I didn't think about it.
Well, it'll be a Friday plate. Be a Friday blue plate.
The other thing too, Oklahoma State coach is not going to be there. He was hit by a cow. Yeah, he got run over by a cow.
What do you run over by a cow?
Well, he was out with his herd or something, and a cow got him.
He injured his eye.
Yeah, his eye. He's not going. I don't think he's going to be at the game.
He may not want to see the way they've been playing. That may have been the best thing for him.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not pulling it up. I just pulled up Saturday, and boy, that is a good game there. 9.5 with BYU.
Yeah. You ride them when they're hot. He's gonna be watching with that one bad eye at home.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick right there. I'll have to.
Yeah, you better go the other way if I pick it.
No, that's a good pick. If I had seen that last night, I probably would be more interested in. But I like that. I like that game. 9.5 against Oklahoma. BYU can score on you, boy.
Yeah. So that BYU may win that Big 12 the first year that they're in. Their basketball team's picked pretty high too. I saw. So, and congratulations to Christy Curry. I saw her basketball team was, I don't remember what it was, 21, I think, in the preseason poll. First time in a long time. And Coach Curry's done a good job out there. I saw her, been a month or two ago at the grocery store. She said she listens to us every morning and she gets a kick out of you. So, anyway, there you go. But they're ranked, and I know they got SEC Media Days today, and so hopefully
she's done a good job. She got that thing when it was lower than a mole, and she's done a good job with that program.
Yeah, they've held on with her, and Jay Barker's daughter's, I guess she'll be a senior over there, Sarah Ashley, who's a really good player. So
sure is.
Yeah, I know they're selling season tickets now here and pushing that. So I think women's basketball is growing a little bit. All right, we'll take this last break, and then we will wrap up the show. We got time to take a phone call to 205-342-9904. You're listening to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., a jam-packed Gary Harris Show. Matt Coulter on NASCAR. More controversy. We'll have it covered for you. Also, we are going to visit with Dan Harrelson from up in Knoxville to preview the Alabama-Tennessee game. And Larry the Music Man will stop by as well. All that and more. The Gary Harris Show, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, all beefed up now on University Boulevard, southbound at Hurricane Road. This is due to an accident over in Cottondale, and it's creating a bit of traffic delays. And we're also looking at bridge work on Lurleen Wallace, northbound between University.
Enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cool and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 62. Rather chilly tonight, clear, the low 39. Maybe some scattered light frost early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow and Friday, sunny both days. The high tomorrow is 67, the high Friday at 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 45 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Back to Inside the Locker Room. All right, several app messages here. I'll roll right through those. Spanky said, prayers for coaches better have. Hope and pray for the easiest recovery possible. If you guys missed the beginning of the show, unfortunately, my mom fell on Friday, broke her hip, had to have surgery on Sunday to have a rod put in her hip. So she's in the hospital now. I'll have to go to a rehab hospital. So appreciate that, Spanky. Also, that SLC Bama girl says if Saban thought this team was an SEC championship team and natty contender, he would have returned. With NIL and rapport enhanced the quality of competition and harming Bama's depth, Saban knew the new world was here. What would the Tide's record be if Saban returned? 5-1, exactly the same. I don't know about that, Sal. I don't think Saban would have lost to Vanderbilt. Now, maybe he wouldn't have beat Georgia. But, Dad, you think he retired because he didn't think he had a chance to win the Natty? I don't think that.
Oh, he retired because he was disgusted with the way things were with trying to get kids to play the way he needed them to play.
Yeah, and then lastly, Josh from Northport says, Coach, take Navy. Week off and beating people by double digits. Who's Navy got? They got Charlotte. They're playing Indianapolis. Navy's 17-point favorite. So Josh is telling you to take Navy.
Not a bad take.
Yeah, so there you go. So but I'll tell you what, you can parlay the Navy and then whoever else, probably BYU if you want to do that. All right, that's it for today's show. We're going to get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. Tomorrow will be a great show. We have JC with us and then Russell Biven. Our buddy up in Knoxville, Tennessee. He knows Tennessee inside and out, so he'll be able to kind of tell us what's going on up there and the strengths and the weaknesses of this Tennessee football team. But Russell went to Alabama, but he lives in Knoxville and knows Tennessee better than anybody, so he'll join us at 8:15. Appreciate it, Chase. Great show this morning. Appreciate everything, all the callers, all the messages about my mom. Keep her in your prayers, and hopefully she can get through this rehab and get back home. You listen to Tide on 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.